Today I want to do a little quick video on what you can do if you use Kijiko skin detail eyelashes and you have a ring that you would like to have your sim wear, but they conflict. It's a really simple fix if you have basic knowledge of Blender, and I'm going to show you how to do it today. So I'm doing all these crystal creation rings, and they are mapped to the ring slot, obviously. And I will show you kind of what that looks like. So if you've never seen a cast map before, this is kind of how it's organized. So everything on your sim has to fit on this 1024 by 2048 rectangle, and Kijiko's eyelashes live up here, the skin detail ones. The glasses one lives in the glasses box, but the skin detail ones cover all of the rings. So obviously, if you want your sim to wear a ring, it's going to conflict with the eyelashes. So what I'm going to show you today is how to take the ring texture and move it over here, which is, it's very blurry, but this is piercings, and then bicep R and bicep L, which is more rarely used, and it's going to be easier, and it's going to let your sim wear whatever ring they want. So what you'll need for this is an image editing program, GIMP, Photoshop, something free or something not free or something you found online somewhere, and you'll also need Blender and Sims 4 Studio. So if your object has a lot of swatches, I'm going to show you how to do a bunch of swatches and all of the mesh states pretty fast. But if it's just one swatch and it's just for personal use, it's going to be even easier. So what we're going to do first is we're going to open up our file of the ring you want to edit. I'm going to hit Ctrl-Shift-C like I would in the game. It's going to bring up a T console for Sims 4 Studio. I'm going to type in studio.exportall. I'm going to hit OK, and then that's going to run. And what it's going to be doing is it's making me a folder wherever this file is located. So you'll see I'm working on mid-right SP49 Chunky AF, and it's made me a folder called mid-rights SP49 Chunky AF resources. So what this is going to let us do, it's going to let us import and export a lot of textures and materials very quickly, and it's going to save us a lot of headache. Now, if you have just like one swatch, you don't necessarily have to do this, but it is something that you can do if you have a lot of swatches. These have 28 swatches, so I don't want to be putting those all in by hand. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into the folder that I just exported, and I'm going to delete a couple of things. I don't want to change the shadow, because the shadow is kind of the shadow that appears on the Sim's skin, and we're not going to change where that is, because currently this is overlaying part of the hand. So if you look, it would be kind of over here. We're not going to move that, so we don't need it. I'm going to delete that. I don't need to re-import it. I'm also going to go ahead and delete all these thumbnails. There's no need to re-import these. So what I actually do on Windows is I'll squeeze my screen down so that I get them all lined up nice like this, and I'll just delete that. And then this is special for these crystal creations rings. There is a mesh for male and female. If you're just doing your own, just adjusting one for personal use, you don't have to do this. But I am going to adjust the mesh for both male and female. I'm just going to make a folder called F, with the female resources in there. And since the male and female ones share the same textures, I'm not going to bother exporting out all of the male one, but I will go ahead and go get the meshes because they're slightly different. But they work with male and female fingers, or framed fingers. And then I'll just go over here to meshes and our Sims 4 Studio tab, and I'll export all of these. Okay, so once you did that, it will open up in a folder, so we're not going to worry too much about that right now. Right now we're going to start with just the female one. Well, I'll double click, it'll open it up in Blender, whatever Blender you're using with the latest version of Sims 4 Studio. I'll click on our ring, and then I'll hit tab to go into edit mode. And then you'll see our map is up here. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to come down to where it says base texture. I'm going to hit this X here. I'm going to open up wherever I'll link a copy of this Sims 4 template for you guys, and wherever you have that up, I'll open it up, and I'm going to move. I'm going to hit spacebar. using middle mouse to get over here. And now I'm going to move this. I've been putting everything on this right hand over here. You don't have to do that. Basically anywhere within this box is pretty decent. So I'm gonna just move this whole thing out right here. I'm trying not to let them overlap too much. Just in case you want to wear 2 rings at once, 1 on each hand if you want to dual wield. Okay, so what I'm going to do now while I have that highlighted, and if it's not highlighted, maybe you clicked off, you can either box select it or hit A. A as an apple. I'm going to go ahead and hit UV, export UV layout. I'm going to go into the folder with all of my other textures and just save this out as UVs. It's just what I call it. So we'll need that for later. That'll be a secret tool we use for later. So now I moved that. I'm happy with it. I'm just going to hit Control S to save. And then I'm going to come over here actually and make sure I've saved before I do this. And I'm going to get rid of this rig. And then I'm going to hit Tab to go back into object mode. Control C to copy. And we're just going to close this out. Don't have to save anymore. And then now what we're going to do is I'm just going to open the rest of the files. If this is for personal use, you don't have to do this. I'm doing this because I'm going to release it to the public, and I like people to have LODs, and it just feels right to do. So I'll come into my different LODs, and LODs are the kind of mesh states that when you zoom your camera out, you get less and less detail on a sim, things start to pop and be more simplified, and that just saves your computer's processing power. So what I'm going to do, since I have copied that ring, I'm going to paste it, and then I'm going to shift click both of these so I have them selected. Hit Tab, go into edit mode, and then I'll come over here and you'll see we have our new position and our old position. So I'll just drag this over by doing that when it turns into a little arrow. And I'm going to come down here to where the magnet is and change snapping to vertex. So now I'm zooming and I'm moving with middle mouse. I'm going to drag a box over this. I'm going to hit G to move this. Get it kind of close. And then since we changed that snapping to vertex, I'm just going to hold down Control while I'm doing this, and it'll snap it right on top of it. And I don't even have to leave edit mode. I'm just going to come over here to the side. I'm going to highlight our old one, and you'll see this is the one you brought in because it'll say 0.001. I'm just hit X to delete that and save that, and you're done. So I'm going to do that again. I'll show you. So I've copied and pasted it. So Control V to bring in our LOD 0. Shift click both of those. Hit Tab. I'm going to come over here. We're going to change this to vertex. We're going to box select this by just dragging a box. We're going to hit G, get it close. G again, hold down Control to snap it into place. That looks off, so I'm going to hit... Yeah, I'm gonna snap it there. That looks better. So you want to make sure they line up. It's gonna change depending, and also you don't have to do this if you're just doing it for yourself. You can just import the LOD 0 in over and over again. And then we'll save that and close it out. And I'm just gonna basically do that with the last ones for the female, and then also for the male. And I will zoom through that and be right back. Okay, so now that we've done that, we have essentially finished adjusting all the meshes. We're now going to go into our image editing program. So I'll close our sort of example here. And I'm going to start by bringing this is a color shift mask. This is a new material that they introduced with Crystal Creations. So don't worry if you don't have this. I'm just going to bring it in because I like the size of it and it matches the size of our diffuse. I'm just dragging it into my image editing program. And then if you have Photoshop, you can just kind of highlight the rest of these and then drag them in as well. We'll have to adjust the size of the spec mask and specular, but the rest will come in at the right size. And trick you can do, instead of just double clicking all of these, you could just hold down Enter until it's done. There it goes. So you'll see we have our diffuse, and then our UVs where we move them. And we didn't change the size of these, so it should be pretty easy. So what I'll do is I will make a folder of all of our diffuses, which is our like color map, just for ease of my eyes. And then I'm going to grab all of these layers that aren't the UV, hit V, or go to this little move tool up here. I'm using Z to zoom around and spacebar to hand tool, but however you get there, how you get there. And then I'm just going to make sure I'm grabbing all of these at once and then aligning them up with that new position. So this might take a bit of finagling. You can turn your UVs on and off to see if you're getting where you need to. If you want to, you can also use your arrow keys to sort of get it exactly how it needs to be. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to turn my UVs off now. We come to the bottom layer. I'm going to hit, if you hit D, it'll give you a black and white. Or you can hit this button here. It'll give you black and white. I'm going to not hit that button. We're going to come to our paint bucket tool. We're going to fill the background with black. And then real quickly, because I will show you since we made our specular mask bigger, it has this fuzzy little edge that I hate on it. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to hold down Control and click on this thumbnail for one of the diffuses, and that'll give me a nice clean square. And then I'll come into that black layer we just did. I'm going to switch to our white, and you can do that by hitting X or this little arrow here. And then now it's nice and clean. So I'm going to start saving stuff out. So this was going to be our specular mask. And we're going to come to our resources, and we're just going to save over. We're not going to change the name. We're just going to save over it. So this is our specular mask. This is our brand new color shift mask. And then I don't need this anymore. Then we're going to save over our specular mask. You'll see it matches. And now becomes the part where we save out all of our swatches over the old ones. So I have a hotkey set up for save as copy. That might be something that you're interested in. You do a lot of saving as PNGs, then I could just hit oh sorry, it's not save as copy. I apologize. It's actually quick export as PNG. I have the hotkey set up for this because it saves you a lot of stress. And so essentially what we're going to do is we're going to look at the name of the layer. This is swatch 28. We're starting at the bottom and now we're here. So we're going to start saving these over. It's going to ask us if we want to save over it. We're going to say sure, and we're going to not do it twice. But quick exporting as PNG like that cuts down a lot of the clicking, repetitive clicking. So I find that very helpful. And saving as a PNG for a ring like this is fine. We're not going to have to deal with like weird texture bleed or anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and save the rest of these out, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now we saved out all of our maps. I'm just going to go ahead and save this as a PSD normally. Make sure I'm in the right folder. Just call it diffuse. That's just what I call all of my working files. Close that. And hopefully Photoshop is very nice to us this time. So now we're going to come back in, not into our adult male, but into our adult female, which if you're doing a personal sort of ring, or if it's just one file, you're not going to have to worry about the adult male, adult female thing. But essentially your file. And then we're going to hit Control-Shift-C again, like you would in game. We're going to type studio.importall this time. So now it's going to come and reference this folder that we exported and we just saved over everything. So we're going to hit OK and we're going to let that run. So now instead of having to import the textures into every single one of these swatches, if I click on a different swatch, you'll see that it's a big blank square. This is good. This means that our textures did get moved because we haven't put in our new meshes yet. So if you click at our little previews here, you'll see that the texture is now in a different spot. and it's exactly where we put it, which is good. So now all we have to do is come into our meshes, and we're going to import those meshes that we already edited. Make sure you're doing the right ones, and we should see the texture pop in. There it goes. It looks great. This is the point, if you got it slightly off, you would be able to tell. We're just going to import all of these, and then I'm going to do the exact same thing with men, but we're going to have to do something a little different. But normally, as I said, if you're just doing one ring, you don't have to do this. So you can just kind of pat yourself on the back, call it a day, you're done. If you do happen to have a second file, I will show you. This one's done. We can check that off our list. I'll come to the male one over here. So what I'm going to have to do, since this does share a texture space, I'm going to change this from AF to AM, which is how I named it. So now when I go to studio.importall, it will find it because it'll be named the same as the file. And I don't have to do work twice. So now that's run, I can click over, I'll see a nice blank white square, exactly what we want to see. I'll double check these just because I am suspicious and it looks good. So I'll come over here, I'll come back to our folder where we put our male resources, and I'm starting from the bottom, going back to the top just because the way the file's still open, but essentially LOD into LOD2, LOD1 into LOD1. And if you were doing a personal project and you just wanted to do LOD0, you can just drop LOD0 into every single one of these. It's your game. Do what you want. So essentially, if I wanted to, I would just go take my LOD0 mesh and then drop it into every single one of these. But that's done. You're done. You've done it. You moved the rings and it didn't even take you that long. Hopefully that helped. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, or find me at SurelySims on Twitter and hit out. All right, bye.